Hello, everybody. It's been a minute since we had one of these out. I just checked. The last time we had a video out was actually June 17th of this year. So that's been about 5 months, give or take there. It's a little bit past midnight now, so it's the 14th of November. But yeah, it's been a long time since we had one out. So I wanted to get another one out. Been a lot going on. I just felt like we need to be getting more videos out. I'm a pretty busy guy these days. I got two kids, one's in school. Couple things have been happening with me. Obviously, I'm still in school. I'm proud to announce, though, that last month I finished my associate's degree in ministry, so I now have an associate's degree. It felt good to finally get that done. I've been working on that for a couple of years now, and felt good to finally get a degree. So that was very good. And if you're somebody that's thinking maybe you want to go to college, do it. Take a class, take one class if that's all you take. I know a lot of these online courses are set up a little bit differently these days. The way mine was set up was you took one class every 5 weeks, and that got you done in about 2 years. I took a little bit longer than that, but if you're looking to get a degree, especially in ministry, it's very doable. And yeah, go for it. I'm still working on my bachelor's, and I should get that next school year. I had a lot of credits left over from the army. I had a lot of credits left over just from here and there. So a little bit over a year from now, I'll finally have my bachelor's, and we'll kind of go from there. Also, what has happened since I was last on here? There's so much that's happened since June. I was also started the Journey program through AMBS, Anabaptist Mennonite Biblical Seminary, and that's just a certificate program that equips you to be in ministry. So I'm also doing that, and that's been great. I've really enjoyed being able to ask a lot of hard questions through that, and I'm just meeting with my mentor, meeting with my classmates, meeting with my professor, and it's been great. It's been a very personable. It's been more personable than any other type of schooling I've been in, and it's just been great. So let's go back to June 17th. That was a long time ago, and back then my ministry was just starting. And we're now 5 months in. We had just started our Bible study back then, and I can't even tell you what day we were meeting on back then. But now we're meeting twice a month, the first and third Sunday of every month. So that's great. We meet on Sunday evenings, and we have a virtual Bible study. We have a core group of about 6 of us, and we sometimes have up to 10 people. It just depends on the day. I'll touch a little bit more on that, about what we're doing this week with that at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, it's been great. I was advertising the Mennonite Church USA Follow Jesus 25, also known as MennoCon. I was really advertising that in my earlier videos, and I went to that this summer down in North Carolina in Greensboro, and it was a great time. I got to meet a lot of new people. It was great just talking to people and being able to build connections and have a great time there. And also, I got to see some people that I had met previously, and it was just a great time just to reconnect and be able to say hi and hang out together. But something that is happening soon, and I have this on here, is New Life is going to be having some more in-person gatherings. So I wanted to mention that too. There'll be some more in-person gatherings happening, and I hope you can all make it to that. I just wanted to put that in there. But also something that happened just recently. I just had my first. I went in for like a kind of orientation last week, but this week was my first week. Was I took a position at St. Paul Lutheran Church in Smithville. So I'm very part time, nothing too serious, but I am paid, and I'm working in a position there to start a contemporary service as well as do some outreach work. So I've been able to do that. My first day I was able to do some stuff on Canva, get some advertisements out, and we're trying to find musicians, and hopefully we can get that going here soon. We can get the contemporary service going, and if you need to know about that, get a hold of me. And when it gets going, I'll be glad to invite you, and I'll be glad to have you there if you can come. So that'd be a lot of fun too. But other than that, other things that have been going on and kind of what spurred me to get into this video. I need to get to my chapter. I tried to print off a page for this. I don't know why I didn't print. I printed off the first page. The second one just didn't print. I guess maybe that's just how technology goes sometimes. But it's okay. So let's just get into what I wanted to talk to you guys about. Obviously we had this government shutdown that went on for far too long. You can blame whatever side you want, but either way, it went on for far too long. But despite it going on, one of the big things that happened was SNAP benefits were cut for a long time. And they challenged it in a big way, and it was just a very sad time because a lot of people didn't know where their next meal was going to come from. A lot of people rely on SNAP and WIC and stuff like that, and when stuff like that's up in the air, we don't know if it's going to be paid for. It can cause a lot of anxiety. So when stuff like that happens, I want to say you need to be praying for these people because a lot of these people aren't in this situation because they chose to be there. There's outside factors playing into this, and there's just a lot going on with people these days. Hunger is something that's been a part of every generation. It was something that happened when Jesus was around. It was something that happened before Jesus, and it's something that's going to happen no matter what the circumstances are. It's probably going to happen in the future unless we change somehow. SNAP's a vital way that we help these people. So I wanted to talk about how can we help people in need like this when things are so uncertain. There's so many things happening around us and we just don't know how we can help each other. I put together this little sermon about how we can help our neighbors who are struggling, and I mostly wanted to focus it in on hungry people because people who are battling hunger, there's a lot of anxiety, like I said, and a lot of us take that for granted, knowing where our next meal is going to come from. But there's a lot of people who don't know. Whether they're homeless, they're working two jobs and they just can't afford certain things. People go bankrupt when they're working 60 hours a week. It happens, and we can blame the people for it, but it's not always their fault. And at the end of the day, if somebody's hungry, I don't care if they're responsible for their situation or not. We need to feed people. Back in September, we had my first in-person gathering for our New Life Fellowship. And if you don't know what New Life Fellowship is, that's my ministry that I'm a pastor of. And we were in the middle of the service. We were actually doing my commissioning for the Journey program with our conference minister when we heard somebody coming in. They were talking on the phone very loudly. And they hung up before they got to us, but when they got in there, they announced to everybody in the room, it was very public, that they did not know where they were going to eat that night, and they didn't have any money for food. They didn't have any food at home. If they even had a home, I don't know if they did or not. If they were homeless, I really don't know. But either way, they didn't have a meal for the night. So, with the help of my other pastor friend who was there, we were able to get them some gift cards and get them some restaurant gift cards from the store across the road. Well, it was just a gas station, so they didn't have meals, so to say, but they did have gift cards for restaurants that were local. We were able to get them some assistance so they could get a meal that night. I felt very honored that our very first in person gathering, our very first worship service, we could do that for somebody. We could literally change their night, but also change their lives. And, hopefully they saw something in us and they know if they ever need help, they can go to my other pastor friend or they can come to us and we will help them if we can because we need to be helping our neighbors no matter what. This is kind of, I, s- I titled this sermon Feeding Our Communities, but also a call to action to feeding the hungry. So, what is one story in the Bible where we see somebody being fed with minimal resources? It's feeding the 5,000. I want to focus in on that as I start this little sermon and talk about it because we see Jesus feeding 5,000 people, which it might have even been more because in some versions it says there was 5,000 men that were fed. So maybe there were even more women and children that added to that number. Back then, a lot of things were judged off of how many men, whether you agree with that or not. There were many other people there. So it could have been more than 5,000. We don't know. But as for this, there were at least 5,000 people there, and that's how many people they fed. So we're just going to start reading in John 6, verse 1. We're going to go through verse about 15, and then we're just going to see what this little story has for us. So we'll start reading in verse 1. After this, Jesus went to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, also called the Sea of Tiberias. A large crowd kept following him because they saw the signs that he was doing for the sick. Jesus went up the mountain and sat down there with his disciples. Now the Passover, the festival of the Jews, was near. When he looked up and saw a large crowd coming toward him, Jesus said to Philip, "Where are we to buy bread for these people to eat?" He said this to test him. For himself he knew that he was going to do what he was going to do. Philip answered him, 200 denarii would not buy enough bread for each of them to get a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, "There's a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what are they amongst so many people?" Jesus said, "Make the people sit down." Now there was a great deal of grass in the place, so they sat down, about 5,000 in all. Then Jesus took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed them to those who were seated. So also the fish, as much as they wanted. When they were satisfied, he told his disciples, "Gather up the fragments left over, so that nothing may be lost." So they gathered them up, and from the fragments of the 5 barley loaves left by those who had eaten, they filled 12 more baskets. When the people saw the sign that he had done, they began to say, "This is indeed the prophet of who is to come into the world." And that is the story of the 5,000. Now, something interesting about the story about feeding the 5,000, it's found in every one of the Gospels. So this is something that was told by many different people through throughout history, and yeah, it's a very unique story in the sense that Jesus performed a miracle there. He took very minimal resources and he provided for a lot of people. In hindsight, can we turn $500 into $5 million? Not very quickly. Maybe you could in some ways, but the way we are today, a lot of these places that are helping the poor and helping the hungry, they take a lot of small donations from people. And that'll be later in here. I'll suggest some places you can give if you're around here or just in your own community. But yeah, we need to be giving to help the people in our community. And even if you're saying, "Well, I don't have a lot to give," I understand. And if you only have a little bit to give, that's a blessing too. And I hate when people act like you have to give hundreds of dollars or you have to give thousands of dollars to be important. If you give $1, that is a blessing to somebody. And it may not seem that way, but it is. So looking at my notes here, we see Jesus provides a meal with what little he has and the resources, but he provides a food for all these people. He brings all these little resources together and he's able to feed people. And it's so amazing seeing Jesus feed people because that's what we should be doing. And my ministry, what we've been doing this Thanksgiving season is there's a homeless shelter about a half hour away from here called Haven of Rest. And what they're doing is they're sponsoring a program right now where $2.19 buys one Thanksgiving meal for one person. We had this ambitious goal we thought it was to raise $54.75 because that would buy 25 meals. We thought 25 meals from a small ministry, that's pretty good, especially when our average attendance online is between like 6 and 8 people. But if we could provide 25 meals to the homeless people for Thanksgiving, that would be a real blessing. I'm proud to say we have already over doubled that. We have doubled our donation, and we have now donated more than 59 meals to homeless people. So this Thanksgiving, from our ministry alone, 59 people are going to get a Thanksgiving meal. And that is something that they otherwise would not get. If you're in a different community, I encourage you, give where you can. And if you can't give money, give your time, give your resources, give something. Make a meal for somebody in need. And just let's feed the world. There's so much there's so much food in this world. There's so much resources. People have so much. Yet some people don't have anything because we all just hoard it in a sense. You know, we have the resources to end world hunger and we need to do it, but simply we just don't. And why we don't, that can be debated, but we do have the resources to end world hunger. Here we see Jesus feeding these people. And ultimately, one line I wanted to share with you guys is religion should point us back to love. If our religion is not pointing us back to love and pointing us back to community with others, what are we even doing? I mean, that should be the ultimate goal. If we look at the life of Jesus, that was the goal. The goal was to serve others. He came as a servant to others. And, he wanted to serve us, but he also wants us to serve him. And we serve him by giving back to our communities. We serve him by loving our neighbors. And this is a simple way that we can do that is by feeding our neighbors and feeding our communities. We need to love our neighbors. We talk about that in almost every video I've ever done. Love our neighbors. It's so important. And in this sense, we need to feed our neighbors. We have people who are going hungry while other people have so much food they don't even know what to do with. And that is so sad. Some people, and it can go by wealth, some people are hundreds of billions of dollars while other people are scraping by. And people go, oh, well, they're not working. That's why they're scraping by. That's not true. People are working and they still can't afford stuff. They're talking about housing and how big the housing market is and about how expensive housing is getting, that some people may never even own a house. This is happening everywhere, and it happens with food too. Jesus cares for people by feeding the hungry, healing the sick, and ministering to others, and that's stuff that we can do too. You say, how can I heal the sick? Bring somebody a meal when they're sick. Um, Donate medicine to people. People are struggling paying for their medicine. Healthcare is going up. If you can help somebody with a medical bill, do it. If, like I said, if you can't give financially, bring a meal to somebody. Just help somebody. And if you're hungry, go somewhere, and we will go over that where you can get food because I want to make that mention in this video. If you're watching this and you're hungry, we are going to tell you places you can get food. And that goes back to how can we do this? How can we do this? There's certain charities we can give to. Like I said, go to your church. If there's people, and if your church isn't feeding the hungry or they're refusing to feed the hungry or help the poor, you might want to realign yourself with where you're going to church. Because if your church, like I said, if your church isn't giving back to the community and you're not willing to help people, what are you even doing? But one of my favorite ones I've had during this whole SNAP thing, one of my favorite places that I have kind of, I don't know if clung to was Instacart. So they basically developed a whole program on their app where anybody can donate food. You can pick what food you want to donate, and they will send a driver and they will donate to a food bank of your choice. I believe they're still doing that. So look into that if you want to give people food because just because the government shutdown's over, there are still people struggling with hunger and we need to be able to help them in some way. Look at your local food banks. In Wayne County we have the Worcester Hope Center. Around here there's also the Akron Canton Regional Food Bank, the Cleveland Food Bank. Go there, volunteer your time. People to people ministry in Worcester. Help there. If you're from another area, look into where you can help fight food insecurity. I was just in a college class not too long ago where one of the ladies' projects was on food insecurity. And I was so inspired by her desire to help people. And I remember in the college class, I was really let down by the professor because she was talking about these great things she was going to do with this. And, he kind of just was like, oh, well, how's this academic? It's like, well, can we look past the academic here and realize what she's trying to do? Like, let's encourage her. And in our discussions forums, I tried to encourage her as much as I could because I really believed in what she was doing. There's a box at St. Paul where I just took the position. There's a box there right outside the driveway, St. Paul Lutheran Church in Smithville. You can go there. There's a box. We put food in there, canned food, different types of packaged food. And you can go there and you can take it for free as much as you want. Go there and take the food. If you're hungry, go take it. It's there for you because we want to help you. We want to bless you. We want you to eat. We want you to have a meal for every meal of the day. And those are just some places that I thought would be great for people to look into if you're looking for somewhere to donate. Haven Rest, we're taking $2.19. Those donations provide one meal for somebody. If you want to give to that, you can give directly to the link on their website. And if you want to include it in our goal, you can tell me how much you give and we can include it. Or you can give anonymously and you don't have to include it in our goal. Or if you want to Venmo me money to also that I can donate to it, we can do that too. And Like I said, we raised $130 from a small ministry. It is such a big blessing we're giving these people from the bottom of our hearts. And it might be a little number compared to what others give, but we're a small ministry and we just want to help people eat food. We want to help people not be hungry. And that's what we're trying to do. I also want to, this is kind of where my sermon's going to end, but I want to invite you into my Bible study. If you want to be a part of New Life Fellowship and you want to see what we're doing, because we are doing some good stuff and we have a great community of people. We're small, but we do have a great community, and I'm very thankful for that. If you want to come, like I said, we have a virtual Bible study. Message me. You can also get a hold of me through my Instagram page, and yeah, or if you have my number, call me, text me, Facebook message me, and just yeah, let me know if you want to be a part of it, and I can send you the link, and you can go on this journey with us. And we have a very special guest this Sunday at 7 p.m. We will be having another virtual Bible study, but this time we're going to have a speaker, Matt Pritchard, the Associate Minister of Central District Conference of MCUSA. He will be speaking to us, and it's going to be great. Matt's a great guy. He's the Associate Minister. He's also working on his MDiv at a seminary up in Canada. He's a great guy. He's got a lot of great knowledge. He's had a history of planting churches, and he's a great guy. Very inclusive, very wanting to give back to the world and serve the people as well. So if you want to hear from him, join us. It's going to be a great time, and we'd love to have you. We welcome people of all different backgrounds. And everybody's welcome. We just want you to come and get something out of it. That's all we want. We also want to walk in community with you. And also, if you're looking for a contemporary service to go to, so we're working on at St. Paul. So if you want to come to that, let me know, and I can get you the time and dates for that when that gets planned. And also, we're planning on possibly having another in-person gathering for New Life at the end of the month here. So if you want to hear about that, let me know, and I'll get you the time and date for that too and the address. Thank you all for watching. You know, the call to action here is let's give back to our community. Let's feed the people who are hungry in our community, and let's share what we have. We have an abundance of resources in this world. Let's spread it out and let's give back to people. Thank you for watching. I hope to be getting more videos out. I love all of you who keep watching these videos and get something out of it. I just had somebody this week tell me, I love your community-based preaching. And ultimately, like I said, religion should be bringing us back to love, and it should be encouraging us to give back to our communities. Because that's what Jesus did, and that's the whole purpose of life, is to walk in community with others and give back where we can. And that is ultimately what we're here to do. And that's what the mission of my videos and New Life will always be. So thank you for watching. I wish you a great weekend, and I wish you a great holiday season. And there'll be more videos coming out, I hope. So keep watching for those. And thank you guys. Thank you as always. Have a blessed weekend and a blessed holiday season.